Hi everyone, here's what's bothering me today. Derek Chauvin was successfully convicted for 22 and a half years, which means, on good behavior, he's probably out after 8, possibly has his sentence commuted anyway down to like 3 or something with the rest on probation. And then he either gets hired again by the Minneapolis Police Department or he goes a county or two over and joins that police force. Which would then beg the question several years from now, will have justice actually been served? What exactly does justice look like when it comes to the murder of innocent civilians and the hopeful and attempted persecution of those in positions of power and authority? Well, to not get entirely doomer on everyone, I'm going to point out that there have been some actions that have had staying power and have proven to be very successful. The first one being Detroit Will Breathe. Now, I know there's like another successful police reform program that happened in, I think, Camden, Ohio, or maybe it was in New Jersey, somewhere around there. And those are all things that we can, try and find out more about, do our own research and information, because I know that there's some places that have been doing this for a while. But I want to talk specifically about Detroit Will Breathe because it arose naturally out of the BLM movement, but it was a very much grassroots organization that worked to slowly but surely build up not only, grassroots activism, but also a case to have a restraining order put against the police in Detroit. They successfully won their lawsuit and got a restraining order against the cops. Now, in the immediate aftermath, and this is why, the fight always continues as a leftist, what happened right after was that the city, I think, tried to countersue them, saying that this then amounted to a civil conspiracy, but the argument didn't hold up in court, and so everyone could breathe a sigh of relief. But no doubt, as we speak, people are trying to work against the very successful actions of Detroit Will Breathe. But they offer a playbook for how to enact meaningful, concrete action and change in your community, and how to hold the police more accountable, which I think is really what's kind of missing from a lot of this, is that once again, right there with Minneapolis and Ground Zero, you had the spawning of massive protests and riots. They burned down a police precinct and they said, yep, see, we've arrested the officers. We're going to charge them. And don't worry, we're going to defund the police. They didn't. And then very recently, as I pointed out with the whole Winston Smith saga, which of course has gone completely under the radar, that whole saga again saw police crackdowns and police brutality, as well as, unfortunately, protester deaths, such as the one that I pointed out very unfortunately, I think, a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, not even. That's how recent the continued offenses of the Minneapolis Police Department and their inaction and their inefficacy just continues to this day, a full year after the movement was spawned, after calls for defunding the police were raised and people swore that they would listen to those calls. It hasn't happened after a year, which means we need to start changing our tactics. And right now, the tactic that sticks in my mind the most, that seems to have enjoyed actual concrete success and progress, is Detroit Will Breathe. So I encourage everyone to actually go and not only support that organization, but reach out to them, find out, how they're doing this and how you can maybe apply that in your own communities, whether that's here in Canada, in various corners of the States, fighting back against police brutality in Europe, Asia, Africa. It's important that we all look to each other for ideas and solutions and inspiration, But unfortunately, the fact that after a full year of a galvanized movement and our alleged elected representatives who swear to uphold the will of the people, those calls have gone unanswered. And so it's once again time for us to take matters into our own hands, which means it's going to be a very long and difficult process. And it likely means conflict, especially in the courts, with your local municipalities and your local police forces, which is not going to be fun, but it's necessary if we want justice. And the fact that justice still hasn't been served truly after an entire year and an entire movement is definitely what's bothering me today.